Okay, my friends, so now we're going to continue with the buying process. I show you about the buyer requirements. Okay, so this is something you should pay attention. Suppliers sourcing, how do the buyers find the suppliers? What are the criteria? How they do it? How many suppliers they ask? And what they do after that is basically asking for the samples. If the samples are okay, what they're gonna do is they're gonna ask for a factory visit, okay? Factory visit, negotiate the price, talking about the payment terms, and of course making the contract. For some clients, not everybody's asking for a contract. So the factory or the office visit, usually what I do is whenever there is a client or something like this, what I will do, I will make a schedule like this and send it to them. So at least the client, they know how is their day is gonna go. So for example, I have a schedule here. I'm gonna tell them, okay, I'm gonna pick you up at the hotel at 10:30. Then at 9, we're gonna do a quick introduction about our company. Then we're gonna visit the factory. Then I'm gonna show you the showroom. Then we're gonna discuss about the orders in details. We're gonna have some lunch with the managers. And then I'm gonna send you back to the hotel or send you to the airport. So this is a schedule that usually I do. I'm gonna print it or I'm gonna send it by email. And I'm also going to print it again during the meeting. So when the client comes back again, he's going to see the schedule again. So at least he's going to know how it's going to go. So this way, I think, is extremely professional because it also gives a lot of confidence to the client that this company is structured. Okay, so now we're going to continue with the buying process, office visit or factory visit. Again, the reason of the visit is not only, it's also to make sure that this supplier is real, not fake. As you know, there are so many fake companies online. They also want to get more information if this supplier is capable and suitable. As you know, many suppliers, everybody these days say, yes, I can, no problem. So this is really scares a lot of buyers. So a professional buyer usually when I used to do a lot of sourcing. I mean, I still do sourcing, but most of my suppliers now are very stable. But in the past, I used to actually do check 8 areas. Okay, and those areas I'm gonna go one by one. So, and those areas is something that you really have to pay attention to, because if you make any mistake, the client automatically, they will think that you are not professional and maybe you will be eliminated. So number 1 is called general factory and or office, and standard and capacity. What they want is, first they want to know about your capacity. And this is very important. If you are doing something very technical, like, I don't know, machineries, heavy industries, very complicated process, so probably they're going to ask you about the certifications. If you have those ISO 9000, not everybody are asking, but if the product is quality, is sensitive to quality or something like this, and it has to go through some procedures, maybe they're going to ask you about quality certifications. If you are working with those big companies like like Walmart and Target, probably they're going to ask you for the factory audit. Not every company can pass the audit. There is also something called compliance, social compliance. I think social compliance is also very important. They want to make sure that you are not hiring kids or something like this. They want to make sure that your company's environment is safe. Those are really big companies, and they want to make sure that your company is legal. Probably going to ask you for a business license. So this is something I did it before. When I say also the capacity is, they also wants to know who is your clients, what is your market. And this is very important, as I said before. So if you are working with really big clients, companies like Walmart or Nike or Disney, of course, it gives a lot of security. It gives them confidence that if you are working with this company, it means you are a very good suppliers. They also want to know your markets. Someone who does Germany, of course, they want to work with someone who also does Germany. Because you understand the market condition, you understand our quality level, quality requirement. If you are doing Europe, maybe it's better for us to work with you because your quality can pass the quality standard of Europe. They also want to know what is the numbers of workers, what is your region, So those questions are so important, because sometimes when I go to the office and I ask those salesperson, they don't even know who are their buyers. They don't even know how many workers they have. They don't even know what is the production capacity. I tell them how many pieces you can do per day, per month, per week. They have no idea. And that really makes me very scared. So people who are doing sales like you, it's very important to know your numbers. If you don't have enough capacity, and you are a trading company, it's okay. But just tell them that, yes, a part of our production goes somewhere, but we do have 5-6 QC people. Sometimes I go and I always ask some tricky questions like, okay, you're a trading company, I like your products. How many people you do QC? Oh, only one. Yeah, but I give you a lot of orders. How can one person only do QC? So you have to really, really, really know your numbers. Sometimes I can even ask how many containers you do per year, how much money, those questions. If you don't know your numbers, it's very hard for you to do the sales, and people will lose trust on you. Okay, so again, the tips that I provide you here is know your numbers. Okay, otherwise the client will not trust you. Because the problem is, sometimes when you go to a trading show, when I go, I meet someone who's doing the sales. I ask her some questions. I feel that she's not in this planet, right? And then I cannot work with her. I tell her, okay, please, where's your boss? He knows more than you. And that's a really, really a big issue. That's why many buyers, they don't want to work with the sales. They want to work with the boss, because the sales doesn't give them enough information. So this is something that you have to be careful with. Anyways, I'm telling you this because of my experience, right? Because I want you also to improve. So please pay attention to it. Number 2, what I also do is I also look at the management expertise and if the management is professional or not. Okay, so this is something that also I'm gonna look. I'm not gonna ask. I'm just gonna look, observe. Probably I'm gonna ask about the background and the education of the owner and management. If the product is very high, high technology, so I have to make sure that the client or that the boss is really educated and he's expert. Okay, I always sit down with the boss. I start with the family. Oh, how many kids? Blah 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 blah. And then I tell them, oh, what did you study? What is your background? And that's how I try to know what is the background of the boss. Because, for example, if you are doing some computers, or you are doing some machines, I have to make sure that the boss understands what is he doing, right? I want to make sure that the boss is an engineer. He knows, he understands this industry. Sometimes even at the meeting, I look at the management style. Is everybody's afraid of the boss, or the boss is friendly to everyone? So I also look at the management. Do they also involve in the decision? I also try to see who is doing the translation for the boss, who's taking notes. If the boss is taking notes, it means there is a problem, right? Anyways, those are things that I really observe, and for professional buyers, they are very important. I also look at the organization structure. Okay, organization structure, as you can see here, is very important. One thing that I want to teach you here is, if you look at the organization structure, quality control cannot be with the production. They have to be separate. I see a lot of companies, they have the quality control under the production. It means the production manager control the quality control. The production manager, he control the QC. It cannot be like this, because if the production or the factory manager control the QC, it means if the QC they find a problem with the product, he cannot stop the production, right? So usually QC has to be independent. If there is any problem, the QC should let know the boss about the problem. Otherwise, the production is the boss of the quality control. So this is something you really have to be careful. This organization like this is very nice. Quality control is independent and production is independent. So when they do the production, the quality control, they're gonna come and control. If there is a problem, they will let know the boss, so they can take action. Okay, so this is good. The problem is sometimes I see that the quality control is under the production. It means production is the boss of the QC, and this is wrong. Okay, it's wrong because the QC cannot be against his boss if there is any problem, and the boss is production. So be careful with that. Those are really small details, but they can cost you a lot. Okay, the other thing that number 3 is I ask about the current customer base. The buyers usually they might ask about your clients, and that's really indicate your level and capacity. I mean, if you are working with Walmart, it means you are very good or suitable for anyone who's doing supermarkets. If you are working with Zara, it means you can produce very fast. Don't be shy. I see a lot of buyers or a lot of suppliers, they don't talk about this one. Export market quality, again, as I said before, if you export to the Middle East, it will be easier for you to find clients from the Middle East. Sometimes they may also ask you because they want to know if you are working with the competitors. Okay? If yes, they will ask you about some designs. So you have to be very, very careful and stay very professional. They might also ask you to see the samples in the showroom. Okay? When they look at the samples, they will be able to see your quality and your level. Sometimes what I also do is when I look at the factory, I always go and look at the finished products. I want to see the boxes. Sometimes I just go and look at the boxes that have finished just to see if this company, they really have very good business or not. And I'm going to take the cartons and I'm going to try to see where this carton is going. Who is the clients? Okay? So those things are what the clients observe, and you have to learn about it and be very, very careful. Okay, the number 4 is called strategic matching. Okay, again, sourcing is not only about buying and selling. Okay, it's also about having matching. It's about matching. It's not only it's very, it's also about matching. We have to match each other. It's not always about the product, but it's always about the service. Sometimes I have a very bad experience. I can tell you it's. As I tell you, there are a lot of suppliers, everybody say, yes, I can do, but after that, the service is very bad. So strategic matching is very important. And, many buyers, they're going to ask, is my orders will be a priority? Is the supplier going to take my orders in priority and deliver on time? Sometimes some suppliers, they're not going to take you seriously if your order is very small, medium, or if you give them a low price, Sometimes you have to ask yourself, should I be a big fish? A big client who's working with a small company? They cannot take all my orders. Or be a small potato. It means I'm going to be a small buyer working with a big factory, right? So the ideal suppliers is not only the one who is capable, but the one who will appreciate my orders. He's going to take my orders and he's going to take care of me with the services and always feedback me. Okay, to be honest, currently now I have really a very bad experience in German. I have one client, he asked me to do some steel products, and now I have 3 months delay. 3 months delay because this is my first orders. I don't want to give him a full container. It's about half container, and he's not really taking my orders seriously, and now I have so much delays. There is always a delay, there is always delays. Yes, his price is very good, but he created so many problems for me. So many buyers are having a big trouble like this. And the problem in China is, even you are foreigners and you want to do a contract in China means nothing, right? It has to be between Chinese companies and Chinese company, then the contract makes sense. So understand where the supplier is in the market. That's why, and where the buyer is in the market, that's why it's very important. That's why sometimes I always ask. This experience that I'm having is because I don't understand the steel business. This is my first time to do it. It's very, very complicated. And that factory was really, really big, so they didn't take my orders seriously. And as you know, in China, once you give deposit, that's it, right? Deposit will never come back to you. But anyways, what happened in my case is I'm a small potato. because I just wanted to do a test. Actually, I was going to give him 4 containers a year, but again, this factory was very, very busy, and because they are very busy, the customer service really went very down. So a strategic matching is very important. And anyways, this is, again, nobody's perfect. It's my mistake. I went very fast and I chose this supplier. But next time I have to make sure if this supplier is a strategic match. And I have to sit down with them. I have to ask them, are you going to take my order seriously, right? What if you don't take my order seriously? What will happen? So all those I think are very important factors. Okay. Number 5, product expertise. The other problem with the Chinese suppliers, always no problem, we can do it. For me, no problem, it means there is a problem. Okay. So the objective here is, when I go to do the visit, I have to make sure that the supplier has experience in making the product that I want. Okay, so I'm going to check at the showroom, I'm going to check at the product line, right? I'm going to make sure that that product is running in the production line. I'm going to look at the machines, right? To make sure that that machine can make my products. I'm going to look at the raw material. I'm going to look at the finished product. So you have, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be very, very careful. You cannot always say, no problem, we can do. A professional buyer, they can go to your company, they can look at the machines, they can, just to make sure that you are able to make those products or not. Okay. Number 6, what I'm going to also ask is about the procedures and the system. Okay. I'm going to ask them, do you have a QC division? How many people? Okay. I'm going to look if they have a shipping, warehouse, production, how is the floor, right? Just to make sure if the company is organized or is a big mess. Probably I can ask them also about, show me the documents that you are using for the QC. What are the procedures? So this one is called procedures and system. I just want to look at the factory system, the factory or the trading company's, documents, to make sure if this company has good systems to keep my products safe and good quality. Again, quality control, I'm going to make sure that they have QC, QA, what is their AQL, how many people they do QC. And again, I'm going to ask them, who does the QC people report to? Do they report to the production or they report to the boss? Usually they have to report to the boss, not to the production. Otherwise there will be a conflict of interest, because the factory manager didn't do a good job, but the QC report to him, so no problem. Okay, but usually a QC, if you have any buyer and ask you the QC report to who, you always have to say he report to the boss. Okay. Number 8, respect of intellectual property. Intellectual property, it means you have to respect the client design. Okay, you're not going to take the design and give it to someone else. So usually what I do is, because I always use my own design, I sit down and ask the management a lot of questions. Okay, I ask them, for example, does the factory have its own design team? Okay, I ask them if I can look at their customers' design and samples. Actually, this is a trick. I just want to make sure if this company is honest or not. If the boss tells me, oh, no problem, I can show you all the design of other clients, I'm not going to trust him, and I'm not going to go in to give him the orders, because if I give him my design, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to take my design and give it to someone else. Okay, then I'm going to ask them, okay, if I give you my design, where are you going to keep it? Are you going to hide it somewhere where nobody can have access to it? So those questions is something that I do. So better for you to have the answers. I ask them if, sometimes I ask a lot of tricky questions. Oh, this design is very good from your buyer, I like it. Can I place the order? Right? So I'm going to ask those questions just to make sure. Those questions you have to be careful, especially with big brands, Europe and USA, because sometimes there is intellectual property. Okay, so coming back to the price. Okay, so again, the price is a big problem. Again, different industries with different margin. The problem is again, when you get any quotation, some suppliers, they could give you high, low, fixed pricing. again, you have to make sure you have to stay very competitive. The way that we negotiate the price is a little bit, very different from the West and China. In the West, it's like a sport. It's like a fighting, right? Negotiation is like a sport with rules. It's direct communication. There is no time. You have to sit down. Okay, I like this product. How much? 9, 8, 7, 6:30. Okay, shake hands. Right. Next product. Okay. In China, is a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different because in the West, it's very direct. Oh, this is my price. You give it to me or not? Chinese people, usually there is no rules, there is no time, there is no place. It's always the relationship, right? So the communication style is very important since I source in China. So I learned a lot of things. Don't be direct, always you have to be indirect, okay? So sometimes don't take it like offensive if you have someone from the West who is very direct. The culture is very different. In China is always yes, I hope we can work with you. Your company is very, it's very impressive. But the way that I usually do is I always sit down with the boss. I always tell him, you know what, I'm very happy to know you. I think your company is very great. I'm very impressed by all your business and success. And then when I negotiate, I always negotiate in a nice way. I tell them, I really want to work with you, but you know what? I got another quotations, like 7% less than you, but I really like to work with you. I mean, if you can match me the price or give me lower price, I would love to work with you. And this is the way that you do business in China. The Western people, I know that they are very, very direct, right? And some Chinese people, they think that is very offensive. But those are things based on the culture. Okay, something which is very fast is, here I want to talk about payment terms. Again, payment terms, I think everybody knows. CIF, FOB, I don't want to go into details. The only thing that you have to be very careful if the product is very unique, right? If the product is not unusual. Usually when you ask for a deposit, my advice is ask for 50-60%, because if the client cancels, what are you going to do with this product? It's not a product which is regular. If it's regular, you can always ask 20% deposit or 30% deposit, okay? So my advice is whenever you have any product who is very unique, deposit has to be very higher, because if the client cancels, what are you going to do with the product? Nobody want it, okay? Again, those are for TT. Other things I don't want to talk more in details because you all know it, which is the LCDP, cash, and the others. So through my experience, when you negotiate the price, there are many factors that your price can be cheaper or more expensive, okay? First, the value of the order. Of course, if your order is really big, the price will be very competitive. So this is number one. What I also do is when I start working with someone, when I give him 2 or 3 containers, again, I come back again and I negotiate the price, because we already give the orders. He knows me, I know him. We are very honest, so I can negotiate the price. Sometimes it's a little bit hard if the size of the suppliers. Sometimes some suppliers who are monopolies, large companies, those large companies, they have very good molds, very good products. They are the only one who has the mold, the only suppliers who can make it. Those are actually very hard to negotiate the price because their products are very unique, right? Trust me, I work with some suppliers. They don't care about me. Why? Because they make some products with very good quality and design, and they are the only one who are able to make it. So for them, this is our price. If you don't want it, you will not find it anywhere else. Of course, when I used to work with those big brands like Meme and others, it was very easy for us to get good payment terms, okay? It was also very good for us to get prices. And what I also observe is the fact that you have a shop or office in China also give them more confidence for the payment terms. Sometimes what I do is I look at some suppliers. You know, suppliers, they have high season and low season. I noticed that in the low season, it's very easy for me to get good prices because the boss has cost. So he has to run the company. So he cannot just close, right? So for me, it's also easier to get a price. The other thing is the industry competition. If you look at industries like electronics and others, they are so competitive, okay? They are very competitive, so it's easier for me to get a very good deal, very good price, and a good payment terms, okay? And the other factor that I can get good payment terms and good price, it depends on the boss. Some bosses, they just started, they are very aggressive, they just want to get clients. So they will be able and willing to give you a lower price. Anyways, what I did here is I just give you an idea about what are the factors that can influence the price. The other thing that I want to show you is called the contract. When I used to work with those big companies, we used to always do a contract. Usually the contract is like 100 pages. But most of the people, they will do it only through 4 pages, okay? Most of those small buyers, they will never have a contract. So you have to understand a little bit how the contract works. Okay, contracts has many factors. It has, the name of the company, the quality that you are expected to do, the delivery, what if you don't deliver, what will happen, how much penalties you're gonna pay. They're gonna also discuss about the price, the claim, if something goes wrong, if you take their design and give it to someone else, what's gonna happen? It's called intellectual property. And probably they're gonna also make a lot of details, So usually Westerners, they love contracts because contracts really, really protect them. So you have to be very, very careful, because I know that a lot of sales, they don't have a lot of experience, and the clients can give you a huge contract, right? So you have to read it very, very well, and maybe you have to make some changes, because if you are not able to deliver on time, maybe you're gonna pay some penalties. So be very careful with all those contracts. So this is basically about the buying process. Again, this thing, once you get the orders, everybody know it. Maybe the client is gonna buy his own raw material and give it to you, and you're gonna produce. Maybe the client is gonna send his QC, QA to make sure that there is no problem with the production. Maybe he's gonna use his own transportation, so he's gonna, forwarder. So they're gonna take care of the clearance, export documents, and bill of lading. Anyways, all those things, I think you already know it, right? But I just want to go a little bit more on details here. As you can see, factory visit or the office visit, be very careful, because some clients, they're gonna look at some things and they're gonna ask you some tricky questions. Again, the price, negotiating the price is very different. As I said, some Westerners are very, very direct. Payment terms, I give you some scenarios how me as a buyer, I was able to get better payment terms. And of course, I also discuss about the contract. Contract is something which is extremely important, and you have to be very careful, especially if the client give you the contract in English. Okay, don't sign anything. Give it to someone else to help you, because contracts can be a tricky things. And again, the fourth thing is production and shipment. This is something, again, that you guys all know. So this basically is the buying process. Important to understand what is the buyer requirements. The buyer, again, always looking for ideas, products. Understand how the buyer is looking for suppliers. Once he finds the suppliers and get the samples, then he's gonna come to see you, right? And before giving you the order, he's gonna come to see you, he's gonna look here, he's gonna ask you those questions. So make sure that you look professional and you know all the numbers and you know everything about your company. And of course, production and shipment here, as I show you here, this is basically your job, this is basically what you do. So this is basically the buying process. Again, you have to look at the buying process and understand all those steps. That's how you will be able to be a very good sales and understand what is the buyers doing.